Hi guys, this is GSM.com and I'm here with the ASUS ZenFone Selfie in the ZD551KL version. This is the first selfie focus handset we're testing. We've tested smartphones before with good front cameras, however this one is totally focused on taking selfies because it has a dual front flash for this big camera. So the ZenFone Selfie was launched in August this year and it stands out, as I said, to a flash for the front-facing camera. Last I heard it was priced at $300 on Amazon, and this is not exactly a new face. We've tested relatives of this model. We have tested the ASUS ZenFone 2 and the ASUS ZenFone 2 Laser, so let's get going. First things first, design. This model measures 10.8 millimeters in thickness, which means it's about the same thickness as the ZenFone 2 that measures 10.9 millimeters, and the same thickness as the ZenFone 2 Laser, also 10.8 millimeters. It weighs 170 grams, exactly the same weight as the ZenFone 2 and ZenFone Laser, and overall it has the same length and the same width. It has a curved back, as you can well see, and the thinnest area of the edges goes down to 3.9 millimeters. Okay, the case is made of plastic, as you can well hear. The grip is quite good, I have to say, and surprisingly for a phablet that has a 5.5-inch screen, it's pretty easy to use with a single hand, as you can see me doing right now. It's thicker and heavier than its rival, one of the HTC Desire phones, HTC Desire 820. That one weighs 15 grams less and measures only 7.7 millimeters. There's a lot of variation for the colors of this model. It comes in black, white, pink, blue, grey and gold, and this one here is the gold version. It's a comfy phone with a pretty solid build in spite of the plastic. It has quite big bezels, and at the front we can find the big front camera, earpiece next to it, dual flash, the 3 capacitive buttons right here, and we got a circle pattern below the screen, and also we have the sensors here, and I'm betting there is also a notification LED here somewhere. At the back, main camera, laser autofocus mechanism, dual flash, the volume buttons that are pretty comfy but also very noisy, as you can well hear, and the speaker in this area. The real speaker is actually smaller under this grill. The back cover is hard to remove. I don't remember exactly, but I think I showed you this in the unboxing. It takes quite a bit of doing to remove this. You have to go all the way up. I think I got it. Nope. Was a problem on the ZenFone Laser and the ZenFone 2, but in the end we can remove it. Below the cover you can find one of the SIM slots here, the other one here, and on top of this one here there's also the micro SD card slot, and then we got the battery, a removable one over here. As I said before, the speaker is much smaller than the grill, which you can see right here. Putting this back on, and now at the top of the phone we find the power button that has an okay feedback, but it's also very noisy. As you can hear, we got the audio jack and a microphone. Now at the sides there is nothing because the volume buttons have been placed at the back, while at the bottom there is a microphone and the micro USB port. So conclusions about the design: it's a solid design, a comfy phone, even easy to use with a single hand. It's an utilitarian design, so to say, and aside from the hard to remove back, I don't have many objections about it, and luckily, because we have this gold version, it doesn't get smudged or leave fingerprints on it, so that's good news, and also the facade doesn't get smudged, so a pretty good design. As far as the hardware goes, we're dealing here with a handset that offers us a 5.5-inch screen. It's a Full HD display with an IPS panel and Gorilla Glass for protection. Inside the device there's the octa-core Snapdragon 615 processor from Qualcomm, the same one from HTC Desire 820 and the ZenFone Laser. The GPU is the Adreno 405, and the device comes with 2 or 3 GB of LPDDR3 RAM. The storage is either 16 or 32 GB plus a micro SD card slot that brings you an extra of up to 128 GB. In the cloud you receive 5 GB of ASUS web storage, and camera wise, 13 megapixel front shooter dual LED flash, 13 megapixel back shooter dual LED flash and laser autofocus. Now on the connectivity side of things, we receive HSPA+ LTE with up to 150 MB per second download speeds, There's GPS, GLONASS, Wi-Fi 802.11 BGN AC, Bluetooth 4.0, micro USB 2.0, and dual SIM, dual standby. From what I know, those are micro SIM card slots. Okay, the sensors haven't been forgotten. We're dealing with an accelerometer here, a G sensor, E-compass, gyroscope, proximity sensor, hall sensor, and ambient light sensor. Finally, we have reached the area of the battery. As usual, we do a battery test here, but before that, it's a lithium polymer 3000 mAh unit. On paper, you should receive 255 hours of standby or 23.1 hours of talk time. In our test that involves continuous HD video playback in a loop with Wi-Fi on and brightness at 200 lux, we achieved a very good 10 hours and 11 minutes. This means we beat the Galaxy Note 3 with its 9 hours and a half, Galaxy S6 even with its 9 hours and 49 minutes, and the Microsoft Lumia 640 XL LTE that scored also 9 hours and 49. There are models that perform better than this one battery wise. The ASUS ZenFone 2 Laser with its stunning 11 hours and 11 minutes, Galaxy S5 11 hours and 4 minutes, HTC One M8 which scored 10 hours and 15 minutes. We also did another battery test. This one is called PC Mark, and it simulates continuous usage. So 6 hours and 47 minutes, which is also a good result. We beat the OnePlus 2, 6 hours and 25 minutes, that one scored. Xperia M5, 5 hours 48 minutes. ASUS ZenFone 2, 5 hours and 45 minutes, but we got beaten by the Huawei Honor 4X, 7 hours and 30 minutes, and Galaxy S6, 7 hours and 6 minutes, and the AllView E3 Sign, 7 hours and 15 minutes. As far as the charging is concerned, it takes 2 hours and 47 minutes to juice up this phone. It's a long time, but it's well worth it in order to get such a long playback. Still, it charges faster than the HTC Desire 820 that requires 2 hours and 57 minutes. This one also is able to charge faster than the Xperia M5 that needs 3 hours and 4 minutes, or the iPhone 6 Plus 3 hours and 16 minutes. Obviously, there's a ton of other models that charge faster, like the Huawei P8 Lite 2 hours and 41 minutes, HTC One M8 2 hours and 30 minutes, and iPhone 6 2 hours and 10 minutes. Now we've also got special settings for the battery. So battery here, you can see these estimations of time, the functions that deplete the battery, and finally power saver. Here you can see the battery modes. There's 5 of them. We got performance, that shows the highest performance of the CPU and the highest brightness, normal with slight adjustments to CPU performance and brightness, power saving, disables the networks when the device is asleep, super saving, you only get to keep the phone, text and alarm awake, networks are disabled, and finally customize, that lets you tweak the experience, set the CPU to smart or high performance, brightness to high or smart, network on, disable or disable in standby, extend standby, and select a bunch of apps that are allowed to receive notification in real time or not. Then there's smart switch that lets you switch on the power saving mode at a certain level, certain percentage, or at a certain time with a duration to select as well. Okay, so those are the battery modes you'll be playing with, quite nice. And there's also something called power management, you should be able to find here somewhere. Here we go. It's called Auto Start Manager, this one, and lets you deny auto start to extend battery life and save memory to these apps right here. So overall, a very solid battery, especially for a mid-ranger, and especially if you want video playback and long gaming, let's say. Now it's time to evaluate the acoustics. You already saw that the speaker is smaller than the grill, and we got a typical Zen UI player here. If you saw our reviews lately, you know what to expect. It's not a bad interface, nobody said that. It's a pretty okay interface. These are the settings. You can change the color of the theme, play with the equalizer. We got here the volume, bass, treble, dialogue enhancement, and a 5-channel equalizer with these frequencies to play with. You can also choose your equalizer and select the standard lollipop one and opt for some streaming options. Now the actual experience goes something like this. So I just tested if the sound gets muffled on a flat surface. Not the case. We got a loud sound, clean and crisp. Okay bass, no distortion, no muffling, and good percussion in songs that have it. There's Sonic Master technology at play here, and the headphones. If you saw our review of the ASUS ZenFone Laser, it's exactly the same pair of headphones, slightly sloped with this rubbery tip, very comfy in the ear, excellent volume, actually very loud, excellent bass, a tangling wire, maybe its only problem, a very small and discreet remote, and a pretty nice and elegant look. So great bass, loud, clear, crisp, with high notes, and even louder than the Apple earphones. Now that we're here, you can also check out the FM radio app with a cute interface. It doesn't find stations very fast, sadly, but it does its job. So turn on speakers, sleep timer, and band selection are all the options we can get here. Speaking of specialized apps, we also have the Audio Wizard application that lets you tweak the music experience, and you can go to movie, music, gaming, vocal, or smart, and each one of them changes the treble, the bass, and the vocals depending on your needs. Also, there is a shortcut leading to the options we saw before. Okay, time to remove the headphones and check out our usual decibel meter test. So here we go. We use the decibel meter to measure the strength of the speaker, and the results go something like this. At the back of the phone, 85.5 decibels. At the front of the phone, 84.8 decibels. Okay, so in case you're wondering, we also did the comparison. The ASUS ZenFone 2 Laser is actually inferior to this model by a bit. That one scores 85 decibels max. The iPhone 6 Plus is also inferior with 83.8 decibels, and we beat the Huawei Honor 6 Plus 82.7 decibels. Of course, there are louder models out there like the ASUS ZenFone 2 89.1 decibels, LG AKA 86.4 decibels, and Xperia E4G 86.5 decibels. I'm pretty happy with the acoustics here, no major complaint, and now let's see what the screen is all about. This one here is a 5.5 inch Full HD IPS LCD screen with Gorilla Glass 4 protection, full screen lamination, and something that ASUS calls True Vivid technology. Basically, they used the 2 layers instead of 4 layers to achieve greater clarity, brightness, and to make the device skinnier. The screen offers a 72% NTSC color range. It supports touch and input even with the glove on. It has 403 ppi density and an anti-fingerprint coating. You'll be relying on the gallery as your video player, which may be good news or bad news depending on your subtitle needs, your aspect ratio needs, and generally the need for extra functionality in a player. Now, as far as the screen itself goes, colors are a bit on the cold side. We got wide viewing angles, typical for an IPS. It's certainly better than the 720p screen of the ZenFone Laser, so the resolution is superior, nobody doubts about that. It's not a very bright screen, and it's also not very legible in full sunlight, so not a very impressive contrast. Pixels are of the RGB striped kind, and that's what they look like under the microscope. We also use the lux meter to measure the brightness. We only achieved 285 lux units, which means that this year ASUS is having quite a bit of a bad streak. ZenFones have weak brightness. So we beat the ZenFone 2 Laser that had 274 lux, the LG G Flex 2 266 lux, and the Xperia E4 217 lux. Still, the ZenFone 2 beat us with 323 lux, while the HTC Desire 116 scored 362 lux. Finally, the Sony Xperia Z1 is brighter than this model at 373 lux. So not a very bright screen, not very good contrast, but at least there is a bit of tweaking to do in the display settings area. Display level can be set up like this, auto rotate screen, font style and size, wallpaper, sleep, daydream, and screen color mode with options like color temperature with a slider, balance, blue light filter, vivid, and customize with a hue and saturation sliders of its own. So overall, so far the screen seems to be the weak link on this smartphone. Now let's talk about the cameras. We have two 30 megapixel shooters The back one is a 13 megapixel camera with f2.0 aperture, a Toshiba sensor, blue glass filter, real tone flash, 0.03 second laser focus here, and it uses Pixel Master 2.0 technology. And that's only the back camera. The front camera is also 30 megapixel shooter, f2.2 aperture, 88 degree wide angle view, Toshiba sensor as well, blue glass filter and real tone LED flash here. Both cameras offer 5 prism Largan lens, and that laser mechanism at the back is used to measure distances among others. The back camera also promises 6 cm macros. Now the camera opens up reasonably fast, I would say. And now let's analyze its interface and usage mode using this Rubik's Cube here. Okay, so on the left side of the UI, we got the flash options, front camera shortcut, and a huge variety of settings. White balance, ISO, exposure value, optimization that includes a manual with extra options like saturation, contrast, sharpness, noise reduction, backlight, and detail enhancement. Then we got camera resolution that can be 13 megapixels in 4:3 or 10 megapixels in 16:9, anti-shake, image quality, fine or standard, timestamp, touch shutter, self-timer, burst, focus mode, smart autofocus, continuous or infinity, metering mode, center weight or average, touch auto exposure, face detection, and then the video options, white balance, exposure, video quality can be full HD, HD or lower. Let's go back here, stabilization that drops the quality to HD alone, video preference, performance or quality, then again some extra touch auto exposure thingies, anti-flicker, power saving and all that, and that's pretty much it in this area here. Okay, now as far as the modes are concerned, there's a lot of modes as usual for a ZenFone. So auto, manual, HDR, beautification, super resolution, low light, night, depth of field, effect, GIF animation, panorama, miniature, time rewind, smart remove, all smiles, and slow motion plus time lapse. Okay, so I'm going to focus first on the manual mode with its very own extra options. So we got this leveling mechanism, the histogram here, and extra options, these sliders here. So white balance that has a Kelvin slider, Kelvin degree slider for the color, for the warmth of the color. Then we got the exposure value from -2 to +2, ISO up to 800, and shutter speed from 1,000th of a second to 32 seconds, pretty impressive, and focus from macro to landscape. Those are the options we get to play with here, and some extra options in the video area as well, not so many, it's true. White balance, exposure, ISO, and focus yet again. Let's go see the other modes now. So each one of them has an explanatory text here. Auto will determine the camera's best settings depending on the environment. Manual lets you configure stuff. HDR is already known. Beautification applies some facial enhancements. Super resolution combines 4 30 megapixel shots into a 52 megapixel shot. Low light boosts light sensitivity. Night offers a slower shutter speed. Depth of field is used for close-ups. Effects are also here. GIFs, panorama, miniature, time rewind, and smart remove. Okay, so let's see the beautification effects. Okay, so beautification includes the options like cheek sting, eyes enhancement. There's also this one, skin softening and blush, and this little pull-out mechanism here that's supposed to be the timer. Okay, other than that, we got super resolution, as I said before, up to 52 megapixel shots. And now let's see the actual camera experience. First things first, very fast focus. It appears that ASUS delivers on the promise to focus very fast. Pretty fluid zoom. The image also remains pretty crisp. And if you keep the screen pressed, you'll see a brightness slider, and autofocus, auto white balance, and auto exposure will be locked to a certain area. Okay, the speed of the actual capture isn't very impressive, but the quality is pretty good, I have to say. You'll see more of that in the full gallery. In the meantime, let's focus on the front camera for a bit, because that's why we're here. This is a selfie shooter above everything else, and it starts off with the beautification option, same options from before, and guess what? We also have the same modes. This time we also get a selfie panorama, auto, manual, HDR, super resolution, low light, night, depth of field, effect, GIF, miniature, time rewind, smart remove, all smiles, and slow motion. Once again, beautification remains the core one, and as you can see, the same options apply here: resolution, anti-shake, center weight. You can film in full HD, and if you want to see the flash in action, this is the torch option, powerful flash for the front camera. And if you want other stuff here, it's not a very clear camera compared to the back one. The focus is less fast, the zoom in is a bit slower, so you can see it's a different type of sensor than the front one, and initially the images will be captured in a mirror like fashion, but you can change that from these settings. Okay, so that's basically it. That's the test of the front camera and the test of the back camera. Now it's time to turn to the gallery and enjoy the shots we've taken during the day. So in the gallery, let me start off with the selfies. Quite a few shots here, over 160, and obviously we started with the front camera captures. These are taken indoors inside an apartment, regular apartment, nothing fancy here, a bit artificial looking and a bit too white. It seems that the camera is overdoing it with the beauty mode. Then this is in a restaurant condition with more lighting than a regular apartment. More selfie shots, group selfies, me and a friend, me, that friend alone. So these are the selfie shots I've taken with the camera. As you can see, there's a bit of blur going here and a bit of extra light. When there's a light behind you, that light tends to become, so to say, blurry, and the face also gets blurred for some reason. In spite of that, the first shots had an okay color texture and pretty nice hair and skin texture. I would have to say that this selfie camera surpasses the quality of the Xperia M5's 13 megapixel front shooter. Okay, now as you can see, these are some food shots taken with the back camera this time. These here are obviously burgers. However, the image is not as clear as I would have hoped, going from the ZenFone laser to this one and having similar expectations. They're slightly blurry, but they have okay colors and okay texture. Okay, now it's time to go to the daytime shots. We got here a pretty impressive panorama that looks pretty nice, has pretty good quality, although it feels burnt in some areas. The resolution here is 9600 pixels over 976 pixels. Okay, some more daytime shots, and the first HDR sample, regular shot, an HDR shot that really highlights the details and doesn't exaggerate with the white. Colors are pretty realistic, focus is also good, and that's one impressive shot if you ask me. Even if you zoom in, the quality remains quite nice. And one of these shots is a super resolution shot, so you can keep zooming in however you want. You'll be pleased with the details. Could be this one here, and it probably is because you can zoom in a lot. Okay, let's actually check that out to see the resolution, if it fits or not. And we should be able to get some info here. Okay, so a huge resolution of 8192 over 6144, so super resolution shot, looking mighty fine. We proceed with another batch of pictures. Once again, excellent white balance, exposure and focus, and check this out. So this is a picture of a cross, a regular shot, nothing fussy, and then we use HDR and highlight the details of the sculpture on the cross. Here you cannot see them, and here you can, so that's what HDR is all about, instead of being used wrong and making the image white, and that's it. More colors, autumn colors, and the usual autumn selfie with pretty good skin texture and hair texture. Speaking of texture, nicely done with the back camera here. You can really feel the crisp of the leaves. Nice colors again, and we come across a series of shots here where the sun was in front of us, so they may feel a bit burnt. This is a zoom in shot from these swans, and it lacks a bit of quality, as you can see a bit. We proceed with a series of more shots, once again highlighting the good colors. Some of these landscape shots don't have very impressive details when zoom in, but still they're better than other mid-rangers on the market. Check this out for example. You can zoom in and see that the leaves are quite clear. That's usually a problem for mid-rangers. The leaves are unclear when zooming in landscape shots. Another batch of selfies that sometimes get the exposure all wrong in the background. Okay, so we saw this faucet and felt the need to create a wonderful close-up to highlight this water drop here. I have to say we made it, very good details, and focusing was also very good. Autumn colors again, looking fine, good exposure, white balance, and very nice focus. Once again a landscape shot where the ducks are shown pretty clearly, and another batch of selfies, somehow a bit too dark while the background is a bit overexposed, which I found to be pretty strange. So if you're in the shade with a bright background, take care because the camera may not be able to help you in those conditions. Another batch of autumn leaves, and this time we have taken pictures, selfies with the sun in front of us, and as you can see the quality and clarity improved greatly, so this also matters when taking shots. Colors and details are probably the best thing about this phone, following the focus. These are the depth of field shots. We use that option that we showed you before. More selfies, more close-ups, and these here are supposed to be super resolution selfies, so I'm expecting a great level of detail here. As you can see, we're zooming in a ton and we're happy with the result. More selfies, more good colors, and more strange exposure of the background. This feels above the quality of the ASUS ZenFone 2. That was a bit of a letdown for us. It's about on the same page and on the same quality level as the ASUS ZenFone 2 Laser, if you remember that review from last month. It's also about at the same level as the Huawei Honor 4X, also recently reviewed by us. And in the meantime, it's below the Huawei Honor 6 Plus if you really want a comparison, and above the Honor 6. And while we kept talking so much about the back camera, we never forget the front camera. As you can see, there's excellent skin and hair texture here. It really does a very fine job. It's obviously the best selfie camera phone we've ever tested, although we haven't tested that many selfie phones. I would have to test HTC One I. In the meantime, while it's a very good front camera, I'm wondering if it's not a bit less than what I expected. I expected even better results. Just look at these samples that are too dark in the area of my face and too overexposed in the area of the background, so a bit more work on the background, otherwise a perfect selfie camera. Okay, so now that we're happy with the mid-range qualities of the back camera and we're very happy with the front camera, let's discuss the video capture since the photo capture is all done. So we're filming in Full HD, MP4, 30 frames per second, 20 megapixel bitrate, and let's start and look the videos up. That's easier to come across by them. So we got the first video, and I have to warn you, it's burnt by the sun. It's also a bit shaky and not exactly very crisp for a Full HD video. Acoustics are good though. It was a very sunny day, even for November. Okay, next video, same conditions but closer to the ducks. You're wondering why? Well, we zoomed in, and I have to say that the quality is quite okay when zooming in, which is something we also found in the photos. Good acoustics and okay clarity for a shot taken with the sun ahead. Okay, this is the first video capture with the front camera. A bit dark, but somehow the background is very clear. Excuse me for chewing gum, but I guess that will have to do. The background is very crisp, but the foreground is somehow very dark. This totally needs a flash, and this one here is a capture using the front camera as a back camera. So I simply twisted the phone like this and used the front camera for this capture. I have to say, did a fine job. It's not exactly on par with the back camera, but about 5% or 10% behind. Still looking good, nice exposure, nice clarity and good colors. Okay, next up, another Full HD video. Bit of focus problems at start, also a bit shaky. Okay, now I guess it's time for the slow-mo video. looking reasonable, no objections here. And again, front camera filming us with the proper sun this time. We even zoomed in. We weren't very happy with the zoom quality here. It doesn't stand a chance to compare to the back camera. But skin texture and hair texture is good. Background also looks nice. I'm happier with the way the background looks when filming than when taking photos. Okay, and another shot. Colors are good. Video is a bit shaky. Excuse the horn, but that's what happens on a crowded day. I have to also highlight the acoustics that are quite good here, so powerful microphone it seems. Aside from the odd exposure problem, the camera is pretty good. Of course it's a bit shaky, but we have a stabilization option that sadly only drops the video to 720p. The last video is this one. Starts off with a bit of a focus problem. Then the quality drops when zooming in, but the colors are quite good. So as far as the video is concerned, the camera surpasses the ASUS ZenFone 2 video capture, but is below the ASUS ZenFone 2 laser video capture that was really good. Still, we're better off than the HTC Desire 120 that didn't impress us at all when filming, and we're below the Huawei Honor 4X that films pretty well. The front camera is actually a bit of a surprise because it has some pretty good filming right here. Now we have forgotten to show you something. I'm going to focus now on the nighttime capture, the so-called low light capture. We have a bunch of shots here. So starting off with this one, you cannot exactly tell what's happening here. It's a leaf at night without a flash. Same leaf with flash, looking quite good. The overall conclusion of these shots are, the overall conclusion is that at night, if you don't use the flash, the results are unimpressive, but if you use the flash, the results are quite good. I've seen better on mid-rangers. Shots are rather yellowish. They're also having these problems with the light halos and these long stripes. If I remember correctly, the ASUS ZenFone 2 laser had the same problem. And surprise, surprise, the selfies will come out okay even at night. Once again, the flash highlights the colors, but without a flash, looks very yellowish. Okay, so selfies during the night. This is one of the best selfies and it's taken at about 12 or 1 AM, so selfie camera works fine. Check this out, this one is done without the flash, so without the flash and still good texture and a killer look. Even more selfies, and just see how well lit this image is without using the front flash. So if you're doing selfies at night, you'll be happy to know that they'll come out okay. However, the back camera is kind of mediocre when the flash is not on. Best example this one, everything is yellowish, grainy and blurry, and the light halo is quite big. In spite of that, the nighttime shots have more natural colors than the ZenFone 2 and even feel a bit above what the ZenFone laser offered. So we also have videos at night, like this one here. I know it's a creepy video, it's a front camera video, but it's taken for the sake of demoing the front camera at night. Okay, texture and skin quality, and that's about it. And another video, this time with the back camera and the flash on, was a bit underwhelming. It's blurry, shaky, yellowish, but somehow the light sources came out okay. Okay, so the conclusion is that during the nighttime the pictures are so-so without the flash, good with flash, and the video is good only when filming with the front camera. The conclusion regarding the entire setup of the two cameras is this one. This model delivers on the selfie promise. It's above the Sony Xperia M5 in my book. We got some background exposure problems for the selfie, and it's overall good for a mid-ranger when it comes to the back camera. During the daytime, it has great focus, great colors and great details, and every once in a while you get into a shaky and burnt video, but other than that, it's an excellent selfie machine with minor problems, too minor to consider for this price tag, so they're okay. Once again, I cannot help to compare this model with the HTC Desire 120. They have the same CPU and the same diagonal. This one beats the HTC Desire phone camera wise. It's the equal of the ASUS ZenFone 2 laser when it comes to the back camera, and also the equal of the Huawei Honor 4X minus the video. If you want to do a bit of editing, there's quite a few action going on here. We got this option that lets you create sort of a mini movie with quite a few funky effects. Basically, it sums up your day through a small video. Okay, you can set up the music, apply some themes and effects, even write some texts here, and then you can do another piece of editing. The collage feature, this one here, pretty much speaks for itself. Various collages of your photos, vacations, and things like that. Now, if you want to get into the real editing, you have two options. So if you start with a face, you have this option here that lets you implement softer skin, brighten the face, bigger eyes. Of course, they can be seen here because of the glasses, blush, and thinner cheeks. Then the other options regarding the usual filters, frames, options like crop, straighten, rotate, mirror, or draw, and auto color, exposure, vignette, contrast, basically the stock action when it comes to editing. We're totally done with the camera, you're safe now, and it's time to check out the device's temperature. After playing the game Riptide GP2 for 15 minutes, we achieved a temperature of 36.3 degrees Celsius, so no, there is no overheating here, which is always good news. Now in the web browser, we're using here the stock one, the stock from ASUS, not the stock one from Google. That would be Chrome perhaps. Anyway, features here include the likes of speed dial, most visited, saved pages, and as you can see we got trending searches, which is an interesting feat. And as I said before, you got those interesting things that I said, speed dial, most visited, and saved pages. It's not a fast browser, so let's access gsmdom.com. Not exactly the fastest browser I've seen, but scrolling is pretty smooth. Let's see the website in landscape. And now it's time to talk about the keyboard. So the keyboard goes like this. It's pretty well spaced and comfy. It has a special numeric row, voice input features. You can even implement some themes if you want. And luckily you also get swipe to right faster. So that's it in a nutshell. The browser not very fast but has quite a few options, and the keyboard is satisfactory. Now I'm here to talk about the connectivity, again with many options. Full screen dial-pad, speed dial, block list, dual SIM card settings, encourage us, call recordings, and more settings. You have the option to block functions, associates the Zen Watch to the experience, and overall this dual SIM phone offers good call quality, loud calls and clear calls, no objection here. It's also an LTE phone with pretty good speeds. Now it's time for the benchmarks. I compared the ZenFone Selfie with the ZenFone 2 laser, HTC Desire 820, and the Xiaomi Mi 4i. Why did I choose these phones? Well, all four of them share the exact same processor, the Snapdragon 615, and this one has 3 GB of RAM, while all the other three have 2 GB of RAM. And guess what? Those with less RAM beat this one. Anyway, in quadrant we scored 22,033 points, while the laser model from ASUS scored 23,281, the HTC Desire 120, 20,058, Xiaomi Mi 4i 23,827, and that was quadrant. Now in Antutu, 36,809, slightly below the 36,912 of the ASUS ZenFone 2 laser. We beat the HTC Desire phone that scored 31,000, got beaten by the Xiaomi Mi 4i, which is 39,000 points. Nanomark is in the mix as well, with 59.7 frames per second, and meanwhile the ASUS ZenFone laser scored 58.6 frames per second, the HTC Desire 120 59.9 frames per second, and the Xiaomi Mi 4i 57.4 frames per second. Then came Velamo with a score of 22-25 in the HTML5 test in Chrome. We beat the ZenFone 2 laser by 200 points, got beaten by the HTC Desire 120 with 2390, and the Xiaomi Mi 4i scored an impressive 2638. 3D Mark is here as well. And in the unlimited test we had 7950, got beaten by laser by about 700 points. HTC Desire got into the 9000s, and Xiaomi Mi 4i 8355. Another test is Geekbench 3, that should be here somewhere. Here we go. In the single core test, 670, in the multi-core one, 2705. Meanwhile, ASUS ZenFone 2 laser 647 over 2605. Also the HTC phone 666 over 2522, and finally the Xiaomi phone 736 over 27 and 47. We also did the GFX test, which should be here, and shows us 14 frames per second. While the laser model had also 14, the HTC phone 15, and the Xiaomi Mi 4i the same 14, so not very much difference in this department. The speed test in the benchmark called speed test involved the Wi-Fi connection, and here we go. In download 21 megapixel, in upload 19, laser had 22 and 22, HTC Desire 820 had 24 and 21, and the Xiaomi Mi 4i 24 and 19 megapixel. Browser mark with a decent score, I would say, 1266 on this model. The ASUS ZenFone laser 1199, the HTC Desire had 1461, and the Xiaomi phone only 963. In SunSpider, the lower score is the better, 1166, while the ASUS ZenFone laser 1542 and the HTC Desire 120 1452. Finally, the Xiaomi phone 1330. We're close to the end of the benchmarks with basemark X, a good result of 10,276, while the ASUS ZenFone 2 laser 10,471, the HTC phone 10,351, and the Xiaomi Mi 4i 10,312. Finally, in base OS 2.0, somehow we got a low score, 320. The ZenFone laser had 889 and the Xiaomi phone 886, while the HTC phone didn't get that test made. So overall, the results were a bit underwhelming. This model has more RAM than the other ones, they share the same CPU, and it only won 1 out of 12 benchmarks. That's kind of strange. It's probably not well optimized for that, or maybe the huge bloatware on board affects the performance, I can't exactly say. Aside from that, it doesn't have any lag, as you can well see. It runs excellently, you can have a ton of apps open in the background, it runs games with 3D graphics, no problem. And we tested Riptide GP2, our usual benchmark game, on it, and it ran like a charm. Once again, no lag, fluid interface, but the benchmarks were a bit on the poor side because having the same specs as other models and performing less is a bit of a lose situation, is not a winner situation. Graphics look okay, pretty well responsive, nice lighting effects, water also looks cool, good speed sensation. And now the trick and the mandatory water effects that look mighty fine. Okay, time to talk about the software. I won't insist too much on this aspect. Basically, you can go see the review of the ASUS ZenFone 2 laser. It's exactly the same experience. This is Android 5.0.2 Lollipop with ZenUI on top, which means we're getting colorful icons, a flat user interface, some unique widgets that I quite like and are quite useful, a fluid interface and a fluid using experience. We got carousel multitasking with swipe aside to close, and we also have screen pinning that you can see right here. You can use screen pinning to keep the current view the current screen in view until you unpin, so keep an app on the screen all the time. There are a ton of updates here. Once you get the device for the first time, you'll spend half an hour or even 1 hour busy with let's say 50 or 60 updates, and that can be a bit annoying if you just bought the phone. The boot is long, the boot time is long, and if you want to manage your home screens, you press here, or you swipe up, or you pinch the screen to manage the pages. Let's go back here. So we got apps and widgets to place on the home screen. The apps you already know, you've seen them before, but the widgets are quite nice. They're unique to ASUS, they're good looking, flat, nice colors, discreet. This is the what's next widget, the very useful task manager, and more. We're not done here. We got the edit pages, lets you tweak the home screens, add more, select the main one. Then we got the wallpapers for home screen and lock screen, the icon tags in case you got more, scroll effects, obviously, quite a few of them. You can lock apps from here to protect your app privacy. Then we got preferences related to the layout. You can use a 2-layer mode or a 1-layer mode with a no all apps button, simple and easy. Change the grid size with quite a few options. Scrollable wallpaper, this is actually useful. Transparent status bar, lock home screen, background transparency, and even more extra options for icon packs, folder styles, and even more. Okay, then we got system settings, which pretty much speaks for itself, and more with the system team. Launcher phones encourage us, and that's about it. I have to highlight the fluid UI yet again, and now we're off to the drop down area that offers the notifications and those cute bubbles which show us quick settings. Flashlight, power and boost calculator, connectivity options, and the brightness slider are all here. Now as far as the settings are concerned, nothing you haven't seen before. So connectivity settings, Zen motion, that includes the touch gestures, so you can double tap the screen to suspend, you can draw a W to launch the browser, or a V to launch the phone app from the standby screen. One hand mode, so you can double tap the home key to activate the one hand operation mode, which is this one here. Okay, so increasing the size, changing to a 5-inch diagonal or something like that. Okay, we got Sunday notification, do not disturb, with events and reminders, ASUS cover. In case you get the accessories, you have quite a few options for it, and it's a cute accessory to get. Storage apps, users, add an extra user with his own permissions and profile. ASUS customized settings, glove mode is available here, and special screenshot option, location for extra precision, easy mode for the elderly or the ones too young, lock screen options, security, accounts, date and time, and that's about it. Now we're off to the app section. We have set it on the ZenFone 2, we have set it on the ZenPad tablets, and we've set it on the ZenFone 2 laser. There's a lot of bloatware here. So we start off with these apps. I have to admit it that ASUS has a nice idea here. It organizes apps automatically in folders and usually gets them right. It feels that a game must be inserted into a proper folder, and does the same with productivity apps. So Clean Master is actually the best pre-installed app you can get on this phone. Doctor Safety, Amazon Kindle, Free Games, TripAdvisor. Then we got Contacts, Email, Messaging, Phone, and Puffin. The Google Suite with Google, Chrome, Gmail, Maps, YouTube, Drive, Play Music, Hangouts, and Photos. Maps looks like this. And by the way, the GPS was quite fast and precise, found us pretty well. Okay, the list goes on with FM radio and music. For photography we have camera, gallery, and photo collage. For productivity we have browser, calculator, calendar. Looks like this, with support for 91 holidays in a material design. Do It Later is an app that's sort of let's say timeline for a short duration. You can actually add items here, sync them, and view them later on. You can add notes here, websites, call, mails, and make a list for the following hours. Then we got Flashlight, share link, what's next. What's next is basically just like Do It Later, only for an elongated time period. So what's next covers the weather, VIP contacts, and a few other things here. As you can see, it's a timeline. that can include your calendar events. Okay, so web storage is storage in the cloud, docs, slides and sheets come from Google, then we got Zen Circle and Zen Talk, and then the mother load of apps in this folder. ASUS Mobile Manager, which basically boosts up your phone's RAM, memory, data usage and things like that, and even has a virus scanner. ASUS Support, Audio Wizard, Auto Start Manager, Backup, Clock, File Manager, Mirror, PC Link, Power Saver, Quick Memo, Remote Link, Setup Wizard, Sound Recorder, Splendid, Supernote, System Update, Data Transfer, Downloads, Google Settings, Play Store, Settings and Voice Search. And Supernote has evolved a lot over the past years. It has turned into a pretty solid Samsung S Note rival. You can take notes, you can draw, you can write stuff here, you can scribble, you can doodle. Those are the options you get to play with, and even more if you select the proper template. So let's start another template, blank notebook this time, and maybe this one here. Okay, now you can really go to town. You can select the type of font, you can select the keyboard or the pen, and we have a ton of options to draw, doodle and mess about with pen strokes. And then you can insert stuff like photos, pictures, text, audio, video, timestamp, stamp or shapes. So as I said, it has evolved a lot, and if it keeps evolving, it will surpass the Samsung S Note. Okay, the list goes on here, or not, we're done in this area. Kids mode, laser ruler, mini movie, my ASUS, weather themes, Zinio, omelette, and play games, and that's the full list. Sadly, this phone is filled with bloatware, and people who want a clean experience may not enjoy that. Okay, so time for the verdict. This is the best selfie phone I've tested, and let's see the pros and cons. On the pro side, we got a good battery, a good price, lots of battery modes to enjoy, great headphones, good acoustics, lots of camera modes, you already saw them all, great focus and great focus speed, very good selfies, the best selfies I've seen on a handset this year, an okay back camera for a mid-range headset with an affordable price of around $300, and the no lag functioning is also a plus. On the con side, the back cover is very hard to remove, the buttons are very loud and clicky, the display is not bright, is a bit underwhelming, the video capture is certainly below the quality of the photo capture, benchmarks are rather poor compared to other theoretically inferior models, there is bloatware here, and we got a long boot that we mentioned before. So as you know, at gsndon.com we don't give grades anymore, we just categorize devices and give verdicts. This is the best selfie phone I've tested in 2015. It's in the name actually, it's the ZenFone Selfie. It has a flash for the front camera. We've really put it to the test. We've taken it out at night, we've filmed at night, taken photos at night, during the day. Not much to object on the selfie part. The back camera is not bad. This is an affordable phone with great acoustics. The only big minus here is probably the screen that needs to be brighter on the future ASUS phones, because we've seen quite a few ASUS phones this year not being bright. Then the bloatware, but if you remove the bloatware and the screen, you got a solid selfie camera phone that even manages to film better with the front camera than with the back one sometimes. If you're crazed about selfies and really need to view your face in HD or Full HD, this is the phone for you, priced at $300 and worth every cent if you ignore the screen and bloatware. This is it from gsndon.com. Bye bye.